Hey guys, welcome to the show, 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. Great to be here. Another Tuesday night doing the hair loss show. If you're new to the show, new to the program, this is the Ball of Truth. Welcome. Let me give out the phone number, 888-659-3727. And if you're new, don't know who the hell I am a consumer advocate for men and women dealing with hair loss. I am the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. I also happen to be the founder of the American Hair Loss Association and the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. I mean, I know that sounds like a lot, but I've been doing this for about 18 years. And if you are a person who is dealing with hair loss, if you're a guy, a woman, a wife of someone who's been dealing with hair loss, honestly, this is your safe place to get completely objective information about anything and everything hair loss. I am not here to sell you a fucking thing. You are not going to hear ads for bullshit products and services on this program. You're not going to hear the nonsense that you hear being talked about through the mainstream media. This is your place to get completely objective and honest, real information about what you can do to either stop, prevent, treat your hair loss, or, we're going to give you the truth. If you can't do anything, if you are not a candidate for state-of-the-art surgical hair restoration, if you are not a candidate for medication, we're going to tell you. That's it. Sadly, 2/3 of us by the age of 35 are dealing with hair loss to some degree. I mean, an appreciable degree where it changes our appearance as guys. 40% of hair loss sufferers are actually women. I gotta turn on the lights on my computer. Women, young women. I'm not talking about women who are like my age or in their 40s and 50s. I'm talking about young, hot chicks losing their hair to common androgenetic alopecia. It's almost the same percentage of women as it is men, except women, they're able to hide it better. They're able to deal with it in a different way. While it's incredibly devastating, and in many cases even more devastating for a lot of women's social lives and professional lives, because it's just very difficult for them to go out in the world, of course, like men can without hair. But they're also able to hide it better because, falls and wigs and hair extensions are all acceptable appliances, for the lack of a better term, for women to wear. Guys don't really have that option as far as society accepting us wearing hair pieces or, extensions or whatever. I mean to laugh, but I actually know this guy that started to wear hair extensions and ended up losing more hair. But it is a very, very desperate place to be. It's a place where, when you start losing your hair, you feel this incredible lack of control. And because society doesn't allow us to talk about it, because society has deemed hair loss as, or I'm not going to say deemed, but has really, hair loss is seen as kind of the last bastion of political incorrectness, where people could still joke about it, still make fun of it. The people who are dealing with it have to live within that, this aspect of our society. The aspect of, being in a position where you just have to deal with getting shit on, being made fun of, and just you have to man up. Oh, you're losing your hair, big deal. Man up, shave your head. It's not a big fucking deal. And God forbid, if you're a woman dealing with hair loss, people think you're sick. There's something wrong with you. There's got to be a reason why you're losing their hair loss. Your hair, because you're a woman. Women don't lose their hair. Sadly, that's not the case. So, this is a place to discuss an issue that society does not allow us to discuss. This is a place to vent. This is a place to learn. This is a place to share your experiences. If you're 22 years old and you're out in the bars trying to get laid and you're dealing with a quasi comb over, it's not easy. Take it from me. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, I just spit on my mic for like the 10th time tonight. For the first time, and you're like, wait a second. Here's a guy. He's talking about hair loss, and it looks like he has hair in his head. Well, let me tell you, it's important that you all know that this is a quasi-sham. That I have been on medication that has luckily stopped or slowed the progression of my hair loss for more than 20 years. I have a half a can of hairspray on right now, and I paint the back of my head. Basically, I wear makeup in the back of my head to camouflage the thinning areas, the contrast between my scalp and my hair. You tell a woman that who doesn't understand, or even a guy, they're fucking mortified. They have no idea. Meanwhile, the women that you tell this to, they're wearing a full face of makeup. They're wearing like a mask just to leave the fucking house to go to the bodega to get a pack of cigarettes. But if you tell them you wear a little makeup on the back of your head, holy shit, what's wrong with you? This is what we deal with every day. So this is why this place was created. It was created for you, for us, for hair loss sufferers dealing with something that, you know, the vast majority of the world deals with, but we still can't talk about. 888-659-3727. We have a full board of calls already. Well, actually, one just dropped off, so you can try to get in. But I'm going to say hi to Joe Tillman, who is holding on in our TPT Studios North up in Vancouver, British Columbia. Joe, how are you, man?
I'm hanging on, and my arms are wearing out, dude. Please let me back in.
You're in.
Okay, all right.
You are in.
I'm good. How are you?
You know what? Not bad.
I like it. I like it.
I really can't complain. I did want to talk about something that we talked about briefly at the end of last week's show.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there was a thread on Bald Truth Talk this week. I read it today. And it was addressing going to Turkey for a hair transplant. And for those of you who don't know, it seems like there is a new clinic opening up in Turkey, hair transplant clinic, every hour. I'm not even making use of hyperbole here.
They all have patients that are super happy and posting on forums.
It's insane. It's insane. And listen, I am all for it. We recommend 3 great clinics, in my view, through the IHRS. But without exaggeration, we are getting applications. It's insane how much money that we could be making just from this region of the world.
The numbers I've been hearing, I did a quick bit of research, and there are a couple of sites out there that list, you know, the number of clinics that you'll find in different regions of the world, and there are at least, documented that I can find 250 clinics in Turkey alone.
Oh yeah, and
that is supposedly about half the actual number.
And I'm not even joking. 75 have contacted us. Maybe 65. Okay, I have to look at. I mean, a lot. It was over 50 the last time that I looked.
Yeah.
So, imagine this: everyone's got check in hand. They're all willing to pay $2,000 a month to be a part of what we do. If I just took on half of the Turks that are out there, that's a lot of money.
You're done.
That's a lot of money. I love to do it, but you know what? There's a reason why we only accept 3. And I wanted to talk about that because I know that there's a doctor who has been part of the IHRS for a long time who seems to be having some concerns online and venting a little bit. There are other people who are out there venting a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think it's reasonable to some degree. But I also think that those who are venting really need to provide full disclosure as far as who they're working with. And you're one of those guys who provides that disclosure.
Yeah, I do, because I think it's, you know, look, people come to me, they look to me, they listen to me, they email me asking for advice. They listen to me on the Bald Truth. They read what I write on Bald Truth Talk. It needs to be said,
right,
that I am working with Dr. Kara Deniz, the latest member of the IAHRS out of Turkey, and I just don't see why anyone wouldn't disclose this type of information.
Well, and I feel the same way about anyone who's online, including doctors. If there's doctors online who is willing to go out there and bash other, doctors in Turkey, they need to disclose that, at least initially, even in every single post, that they are working with a specific clinic or group of doctors or training doctors, shit like that. It's really important to me.
No, I see where you're coming from, and I completely agree. I mean, no one can come down on you for being as open as possible.
You
right?
have to be. Full disclosure is key. That's how I survived for the last 18 years in this business.
Yeah, but it's like, on the flip side is all kinds of bad can come from not disclosing things. Right.
Right.
Because if you're not honest about who you're working
Well, no,
with,
maybe I'm confused the way you just said. I thought you said that that it's important that you disclose everything.
Of course.
That was your first sentence, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And my second sentence was relating to it can actually be detrimental to not disclose this kind of information because it can come back and bite you in the ass. Right. Well, you're obviously biased because we just found out that you're involved and you didn't tell us.
Right.
That kind of scenario. And so it's like, get everything out of the way, put all your cards on your table, and just let people know who you're working with.
Well, you know what's funny about my, and we'll take your calls in a second, guys, about my experience in my career is that from day one, not only did I tell people who I was involved with and how I decided to earn money, I told them how much I was making. No one has ever done that. Now, it's come back and, people, of course, all of a sudden they start counting your money. That's not a great thing either. But I'd rather that be the case than all of a sudden, there's this guy, somebody comes out and says, oh, wait a second, Kobren is making this much money? We had no fucking clue.
Yeah.
Let people know exactly what's going on. Let people know who you're working with, in what capacity you're working. That is all important stuff. And you're right. Why wouldn't people do that? You know why they wouldn't do that? Because in their minds, this is the way that I feel. People who don't provide full disclosure in that capacity either feel there is something wrong with doing what they're doing, or they believe that people who are following them or reading them or taking their advice may see it as them being less credible by earning a living doing what they're doing, which makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense, but playing devil's advocate, there may also be a component where it's just not something that crosses their mind as even being something to discuss to begin with. Right? Like
I kind of get that, but to me that really shows a tremendous sense of naivete. I mean, how can they not want to provide full disclosure?
Well, okay. Well, let's explore this. We're talking about doctors, and I don't think it's so much naivete. I think it's maybe having to do with ego. Like, who the hell are they to even ask?
Okay. I can see your point. Yeah.
I mean, and I say that I'm not talking about anyone specific, but I know people like that in the industry, and you do too.
Yeah.
Where, they do have the kind of ego, they do have the kind of position about themselves where who are we, and I do mean you and me specifically.
God. Yeah.
To question what I do. I'm a doctor. What the hell do you guys do?
Well, but for me, I mean, that happened early on, and it happened for, I'd say, the first 6 or 7 years of my career, and eventually just became an accepted part of the industry.
Right.
This is the way that it is.
Or even overlap that into the forums, like people online. Who are you to question what I'm doing? I'm just doing my business behind the scenes.
Right.
And I mean, they need to just disclose this, no question about it. But I'm just trying to, like I said, play devil's advocate. They're not thinking along those lines because it just doesn't occur to them that it is important.
Well, and I don't disagree. But here's the thing, and I'm going to take, guys, please hold on. I will take your calls. There's a lot of work being done, a lot of clinics popping up, not only in Turkey, but even here in the U.S., with the NeoGraft and other devices that are coming out. Guys are just buying these turnkey sales pitches, investing in these devices and opening up clinics. So yes, it's frightening what's happening in Turkey, but is it that much worse than what's happening here? I don't think so, really. At least in Turkey, a lot of these girls are being trained well. Here these guys are getting a hold of this machine. There may be a band of traveling techs, maybe, or they're just kind of starting on patients themselves. What do you think?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, the thing about in North America, there's some dynamics that don't apply to Turkey where if you're not following the requirements of the local, like the state medical board of whatever state you're in, I think you're more likely to get found out and busted than if you were in Turkey, because in Turkey it is so rampant. The percentage of clinics that are not using doctors to even do any part of the procedure beyond drawing a hairline.
Yeah, but what does busted mean here in the U.S.? You think the state medical boards are going after fucking hair transplant doctors?
No, they're not going after them.
The only time they do that is maybe they're drug abusers, or they've really done something that's so egregious that they feel forced to go after them. There's really no. Sadly, there's no governing body that is really looking closely into any field of cosmetic surgery.
Well, no, I agree, but the ones that have been busted for those more extreme situations, apply that to Turkey or India. How much further, if any further, do they have to go to also be reprimanded by their local authorities? You see what I'm getting at?
Dude, I think they should be reprimanded for wearing fucking sandals in the OR, okay? That's how I feel about it. I told you that a long time ago.
Yeah. No, I think, look, I think doctors should be reprimanded for not wearing face masks.
100%.
When making incisions.
I've seen guys who aren't wearing surgical gloves.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
It's gotten, yeah. Look, we could talk for hours about this aspect.
But I'm not talking about in Turkey or India. I'm talking about here in
Oh, me too.
In the USA.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's rampant as far as I'm concerned. Look, I see photos that are used for promotional purposes. Look how intently this doctor is concentrating as he places this graft into the incision site. He's not wearing a mask.
Right.
And it's like, what the hell? Does anyone even review these photos?
What about loops? The simplest things.
Yeah.
How many 50-year-old guys do you know can place a fucking graft without a loop? I know I couldn't do it, and I have really good eyes.
I had laser eye surgery. I got like incredible vision now compared to even 5 years ago when I first had it, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't need to wear glasses to drive. I really don't even need to wear glasses to read. I'm starting to notice a slight change in my vision, and I'm just about 50. But yeah. I would say most guys my age or close to my age could never do that type of work without at least wearing some sort of corrective lenses. I see that all the time. Guys are just lazy.
Well, there's a component to this that's laziness, no question about it. And I always notice these things when I see, I'm looking at websites of different clinics. I see these photos, like a lineup of technicians at their microscopes, not a single one's wearing a mask.
Yeah. That is really something, yeah.
It blows my mind.
Yeah.
And it's proof right there on their website that they're not following proper guidelines. And of course nothing's being done about it, but it's amazing to me.
Yeah, but Joe, that's why I like having you on the show, because you bring, and obviously I talk about this shit all the time, but you reinforce what I've been saying for years, because you've been in the clinics, you worked in the clinics, and you had to happen to work in a clinic that followed all the rules. You know, so you knew what had to be done. So when you see all this stuff, you understand the nuances and everything that people who are not in this end of the field could possibly, they wouldn't even think about.
No, they wouldn't. And, it's something that is not just from my experience in hair transplant clinics, but many moons ago. I'm talking when I was in my early 20s, I was still involved in the medical field in physical therapy, working in different environments and going through college. And I learned a lot of this even back then.
Yeah.
And also coming from a family that has a lot of nurses and doctors and stuff. So a lot of this is just ingrained from growing up and from being involved from an early age on some level, and then carrying over into the surgical hair restoration field. It's just something that I can't help but notice.
Well, what a lot of people don't know about me, I don't talk about it much, is my only real job was being a medical administrator for a huge national HMO. And I got that job at a very early age and really went up the ranks in a very short period of time. So I was kind of involved in a very big way in medicine. And I saw shit that just, I mean, it makes it very difficult for me from coming from that part of the field and doing what I do now. What I started in 1998, I actually started in '96. It's hard for me to trust physicians. It's hard for me to even go to a doctor, and obviously we all have to. And that's why it was so important for me to create what I created with the IHRS. I don't care who gives me shit, and every once in a while there's a doctor who will give me shit because they're not accepted into the organization. You know what? Fuck you. I know what goes on in this field. You know what goes on in this field. We try to create the safest possible places for people and provide great resources. Nothing's perfect, but it's important that people get this information. You know what, Joe? Let's take a phone call.
Okay.
All right. Hey, man, you are on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Star from Toronto.
Star?
Yeah.
Hey, Star, how are you,
Hey,
man?
Star, how's it going?
Pretty good. Better than last time, I'll say.
All right,
I enjoyed your show. Your show last week about TV. I don't know. It's kind of related to my call from the previous week.
Yeah. So tell me. So what's going on with you, man?
Well, so I'm getting my next FUT in just a few weeks. I asked to be seen like ASAP because originally it was supposed to be many months from now, and dude, like my life is on hold. I've got like my hair's not grown enough on top because I was wearing a system, and I've got like long hair all around. So I'm like, can you please like get me seen so I don't have to take more downtime? Let's just get it done with. So
Right.
as I'm talking to you right now, I'm doing like one-handed laxity exercises. I'm just really going at it because I really want to get at least 2,000 grafts.
So remind me, Star, and Joe probably remembers. Did you go to Dr. Feller, or did you go to
No, Rahal.
Dr. Rahal? Okay, so you're seeing him again.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So, well, in the meantime, besides laxity, I kind of looked a little bit into derma rolling, but I don't really know much about it. I was wondering, you guys have probably followed a lot of threads throughout the months or years since
Why
that's been around.
Why are you looking at derma rolling?
I'm a firm believer in the body can heal itself, and the whole wound theory, collagen goes, and so I mean, if I do have a lot of miniaturized hairs that can still be saved, I'm trying to see what more I can do to save it. So if it's $15 to buy a derma roller and to do it, I'll do it if it'll help.
Well, I'm going to let Joe give his point of view, and then I'll give my point of view.
Okay.
Well, okay. So, and forgive me for not recalling the details. I know we spoke about this, but you have miniaturized hairs now, and you want to use a derma roller to.
Star's the actor, man.
Yeah. No, I remember that.
Yeah.
But you want to use this derma roller to kick in some additional fullness and thickness for these miniaturized hairs to turn them into more terminal hairs before the procedure.
Yeah, and I would probably continue using it after a few months after the procedure if that's approved by Dr. Rahal.
Okay.
Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry, I'm not sure that would be the best thing to do if you're having a surgery in a few weeks, and here's why. Okay.
I just say I think it would be a horrible idea, but go ahead, Joe.
If you're, how do you really feel about it?
I had to get it out there, man.
So if you're going in for a surgery in a few weeks, this is what's going to happen to your scalp. Okay, you're using this derma roller, and like you said, it's causing micro
It
abrasions
basically
and
breaks the
damages.
entire scalp. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So your scalp is going to be in a state of healing and reconstruction while you're going in for a surgery where a few thousand incisions are going to be made into this area. Okay. Your scalp is already going through a mild form of trauma to begin with. I don't think it's a good idea to have that as a precursor to your much more severe trauma of having all these
Okay.
incisions made.
Okay.
Because I think that you might actually experience the reverse effect of what you're looking for, where you might have increased shock loss as opposed to reduced shock
I
loss,
agree.
and and you might wind up regretting it. Now, I'm not saying that would be a permanent problem. There is that chance, but I think that realistically, your quote unquote ugly duckling phase, and yes, I am using air quotes. You can't see me. Your ugly duckling phase would be potentially greatly extended, making you much more miserable than you normally would be.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. What a lot of, listen, I was one of the first guys who actually tried micro needling or rolling. Now, I didn't try it on my scalp. I tried it on my face. And I'll tell you why. Joseph Greco down in Sarasota, Florida, who is really the grandfather of PRP for hair loss, is a guy that I know well. We were talking about it, and he said, I'm doing these micro needling facials with PRP. And he was, just kind of filling me in on what he was doing. I'm like, you know what? I mean, what do you think of micro needling alone just for the skin? And he's a believer in it. So he sent me some products in a micro needling kit. And I started to use it. I definitely think I saw eventually some sort of improvement. But I also kind of felt that my skin seemed to take on a little bit of a harder texture. And my theory is this. I think that micro needling, while it does kind of make sense, I think it can cause kind of microscopic scarring. And if you do it enough, and if you do it aggressively, eventually you're going to be causing this fibrotic tissue especially if you're doing it on your scalp. So I tell most guys, unless you're getting a specific treatment like PRP, which is only done, once every 4 to 6 months, then I think microneedling is appropriate. But to do it every day the way these guys are doing it, I personally think it can cause more harm than good.
I agree 100%. When you're doing it, see, and that's the problem is when guys think that something's going to, add benefit to their hair routine. Being North Americans as we are, there's no such thing as just enough. It's the more the better, right? And so we start micro needling the shit out of our heads, and blood coming out everywhere because we think that it's helping. And yes, I'm over exaggerating. And
well, you're not. If you read some of the threads, some of these guys are doing that.
Well, but the point is that we can't seem to stop thinking, okay, this is what I was told to do. This is just enough. I need to stop. It's usually more is better. More is better. The big Texas,
Right.
Idea. So, I'm not a fan of it, and I think it's too easy to overdo it. And I think that even if you do just apply it once a day or once every few days, I think that's just way too much for the scalp to handle.
Well, I mean, it's a really big trend in aesthetics right now. A lot of different microneedling pens, a lot of different microneedling rollers that are being sold. A lot of companies and a lot of even cosmetic or plastic surgeons are offering kind of like, in the more non-invasive aesthetic side of their practices, these procedures, both for hair and for skin.
Yeah.
I'm not sold, man. I'm really not sold. And I'm telling you, I did it. And I definitely saw some improvement as far as like tightness around my eyes. But I also felt that my skin was just, I don't think I caused any permanent damage, but I definitely got a sense that if I did this for the long term, it wouldn't be a good thing.
Yeah.
And again,
Okay.
that's just my anecdotal experience.
Yeah. Speaking of PRP, that's another stop I made as I was walking by a place where I've gone before for other cosmetic reasons, and I just happened to start chatting with the lady because the poster at the front said,
Oh, Jesus.
150 hair growth guaranteed, blah, blah, blah. And I told her, how can you even guarantee that? And I was really upfront with her, and she says, well, we don't guarantee that for everyone. We don't take everyone. You have to be a candidate. Whatever that instrument is, that camera or that microscope that they use to actually figure out how many dormant follicles
I
you
love
have.
this. Yeah. That's a densitometer, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
And we're not laughing at you. I'm laughing at just the fucking industry, man.
Yeah.
That just the audacity of these people. But go ahead, finish your.
Well, when she said that, I thought, okay, well, it's a little bit reassuring because I know they probably don't take just everyone, or do they just say that and do take everyone? I don't know.
Who are these
'Cause I
people?
said,
Are they
what if
physicians?
No, this is a place that does like pretty much anything you can think of cosmetically, like that doesn't involve like surgery.
So are they like
Botox,
are they estheticians? Are there any nurses who are doing Botox?
nurses, I think so.
Okay.
But the lady I spoke with, she said that she worked with a hair transplant company in LA for a number of years.
Oh, that makes her qualified.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I mean, I asked her to explain. Dude, I really hate getting blood work done, but I mean, if this gave me some sort of chance or better result after my transplant, I would probably be willing to do it. I know Dr. Rahal doesn't. I mean,
Star.
he's like, don't waste your money. But
I gotta interrupt you, buddy. Just stop. Just stop looking for ways to make it better, because two things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to drive yourself nuts, and number two, you might actually cause physical hurdles to the best result you can get.
And I also think it's important that you understand this, which most of these aesthetic places or these clinics, they really won't explain how PRP works and exactly what it is because they don't really understand.
They don't know.
There's so many different types of PRP, and there are different methods of PRP. And some clinics are just kind of like, okay, they're drawing your blood, they are spinning it in a centrifuge, and they are separating the platelets and claiming that this is the right type of PRP for hair growth. But the truth is they have no idea. There are different systems that are sold by different companies. Some will create more red blood cells or more white blood cells. Some will create kind of like a gold color to the enriched plasma, and some will be more of a red color. And there are doctors out there and researchers like Joe Greco, who will tell you that he understands the differences because he's done the research. And very few guys have actually taken the time to write the papers, to do the clinical studies. And there are companies out there that are just kind of jumping on this new, quote unquote phenomenon, and they are developing these products to sell to these estheticians and to these doctors that are really not doing anybody any good.
It's the same thing as the laser industry,
right?
Right, where you have one company about what was it, about 6 or 8 years ago, coming out saying FDA cleared,
right?
And I don't know if you remember this, Spencer, but I did like this big, almost like this big expose on the difference between FDA cleared and FDA approved. And
I do not remember that, but I believe you.
We actually did it on your show.
I know I have no. I don't know what I had for breakfast yesterday.
So. Well, and ever since that one company got FDA clearance, 510K clearance, there are hundreds of other products online or
right.
in your city
that now have it.
Right. And they say FDA approved when they weren't even involved in the study. That's a completely different product, and it's just complete twisting of the words and the application.
Well, the sad thing is even the mainstream media gets that confused because what happens is a press release will go out. The PR person will say in the press release, right, FDA approved. They know it's FDA cleared, but they'll write FDA approved. Then the media outlet will repeat that.
Yeah.
And without even understanding that there's 501k clearance or compared to FDA approval, only drugs could be approved. But I guess the point is this. go and have your hair transplant. Do what you're going to do. You know it's worked for you before. Have that done. If at some point you decide to do PRP, call the show. We'll give you recommendations of the guys who are doing it consistently well. Does not mean you're going to get results, but at least you're going to get the right stuff.
Okay.
And I gotta add one more thing. Okay, when I understand why you're looking at all these solutions to make things just that much better, I really do. But there are a couple of things that can happen if you start messing with your scalp and your hair before surgery or after surgery. Okay, number one, like I said before, you can make things worse. Okay, if you start doing all these things to prep that are not recommended by the doctor that you're seeing. But secondly, and this is something that no one talks about, if you start doing things that are not recommended by your doctor before or after surgery, and this isn't specific to anyone, this is across the board. I don't care if it's a hair transplant, I don't care if it's rhinoplasty, I don't care if it's heart surgery. If you do not follow your doctor's post-op instructions to the letter, if you start going off and trying these experimental things that no one really has any proof about, or even if there is proof, but it's just not endorsed or recommended or even indicated by your doctor for post-op recovery, if your result from your hair transplant or your rhinoplasty or heart transplant does not work out, then the things that you did that were outside of that list of things that you should do can be listed as the blame for the problem. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you?
So basically you would have no recourse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Listen, Star, here's my advice. Here's my advice. You have your surgery. I would not even consider any type of derma rolling or even, maybe PRP 6 months in. But I would wait at least a year before you decide to do any type of derma rolling. And I'm still not 100% convinced that that's a great idea. If you did go to like a guy like Joe Greco, and again, there's no financial ties. I don't make a dime from this guy. I just think he's the best at doing PRP, and he seems to have the most consistent results. But you guys, even Alan Bauman, he's doing a lot of PRP now. He's getting some good results as well, and he's a guy that I work with. But I would say that most of them would advise you to wait several months before having another treatment. Let the grafts take. Let them shed. Let them start to regrow. How many grafts do you think you're going to get this time?
I'm really hoping for 2,000 because when I first got my estimate, it was 1,500. My scalp was really tight, but I went and did a lot of exercises, went back to see them. They said the laxity had improved a lot in the back, and ever since then, I find that it's become really, really loose. Like, I find this really, really improved. So I wouldn't be surprised if I get 2,000.
Well, it's funny because those exercises actually really work, and a lot of people are just like, they poo-poo it.
Yeah, but doctors poo-poo it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, listen, Star, man, I wish you the best of luck. We're going to take some more phone calls, but please just stick with the surgical advice. Do your thing, but don't try to do too much right now. So when are you going to have the surgery?
June 2nd.
Okay.
Very nice.
Let us know how it goes, all right?
For sure.
Call us back.
And follow, real quick, follow those pre-op instructions that I know that they sent to you already to the letter, okay? Make sure you're following those instructions. Don't, talk to them if you think about doing something else, okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay, absolutely.
Keep them informed.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Okay.
Good luck with everything, man. Take care.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, bye-bye. 888-659-3727. And look, I get that. I get trying to do whatever, throwing the kitchen sink at everything.
Of course.
But just think about that. Think about abrading, after having surgery, abrading your scalp every day. Imagine how that's going to damage the potential growth. But I understand that people don't get that.
They don't get it. They're just looking for the end game of making improvements, and they want to throw, like you said, the kitchen sink. They want to throw everything they can at it.
Yeah.
And I get it. And but you understand what I'm saying, though. It's like if you start doing all these things that are not listed as your pre-op or post-op.
Well, that's the blame right there. If things don't work out, you have no recourse.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it's not just hair transplants. It's anything.
That's right.
And
No, I thought it was good
think
advice, and I
people-
think you explained yourself well. I just think that, I had to kind of like simplify it for the guy.
Yeah, no, I
Not
ran
for
with
him,
some-
but for everybody else who's listening as well. All right, let's take a phone call. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from? Hey, man, you're on the air. I can hear you. 647 area code. You're on the air. I'm gonna see if this guy's sleeping or what.
Was that me?
Dude, you're on the air. This guy's been holding on for 37 minutes. All right. Goodbye. 888-659-3727 is the phone number. This is the thing. I am not. He's trying to call back. I am a. I definitely saw a difference when I was derma rolling. I felt like my skin was slightly tighter. Part of that is just the fact that you're abrading your skin, and then there's that healing process. It actually creates a little bit more blood flow, so you look tanner as well. And I liked it. But as I was doing it, I was doing it like 4 days a week, I just kind of felt like my skin was getting a little tougher.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, it's this collagen, but not collagen. It's they promote it as a collagen restoration.
But there's got to be some fibrotic buildup there.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I don't feel it now, so I guess it dissipated. So maybe I didn't cause any permanent damage. But I can imagine doing that all the time and causing some sort of a permanent issue.
Well, I think, look, when you look at the logic behind this microdermabrasion, you said it yourself. It's like you look more tan because you're getting this increased blood flow. Well,
right.
That's what minoxidil does. It's a vasodilator, increases blood flow, and there's no, we don't know exactly why it works, but that's the component.
Right.
Right. That's what we understand. And so if you're increasing it through any means, then maybe there's something to it. Maybe it does help. But
well, I know these estheticians.
can't be permanent.
I know nurses who are like really promoting it, and it's like with the so-called vampire facelift and all that stuff. And in the end, I just don't know if we're going to thin out the skin, or if not thin out the skin, thicken it to the point where it's just like a lot of weird scar tissue. And who knows? I mean, who knows? Well, listen, let's try to take another phone call.
Okay.
All right. Let me take all the lines are lit, so I will take line one. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Hello.
How you doing, young man?
Joe.
Joe.
This is your last show as a young man of 49.
Ah, come on, man. I'm still 50's young. What are you talking about?
You look about 30.
No, I don't. You know what? That's what a couple of crazy people said online, but in person, my hair is very gray. So I definitely look older. Maybe not 50, but
It does look grayer in person. I remember from even a few years ago when we
it's
were hanging
completely
out.
gray. My hair is salt and pepper. The camera, for whatever reason, and it's not just the lights, because my lights are pretty normal. The camera tends to pick up the darker shades. And, but eventually I think when I become more white, because my beard is pretty white, it picks up that color. But anyway.
That's why I stopped growing my beard out, because it's getting a lot whiter than my head hair.
You know what? I have to tell you, man, I like it. And to me, like you said the other day, Joe, well, I like it on me, but I haven't seen I don't know what your beard looks like. But I will say that, the comments that I've gotten over the years, with gray hairs, everyone's just like, don't dye it. Why would you dye it? Most women say it looks better, or they think it looks good. Guys are the ones who are like hyper concerned about the aging process as far as what, the hair color makes you look older. For me, it's like, I don't care what color it is. Joe, I know you're not the same. Joe, you've dyed your hair for years.
Right, but yes, I have. I feel I look younger with my hair colored.
Now, Joe, do you use the Just for Men that you get off the shelf, or is this something you get done at a stylist?
No, I would never go to stylists. Are you crazy?
Well, maybe. I don't know. So you use something off the shelf, like a Just for Men. Is that what you use?
Yeah, it's scleral instinct. You put it in for about 10 minutes and wash it out. People complain to me about gray hair. Gray hair is curable. Hair loss is not. This is what I don't understand.
Well, I mean, it's curable to an extent. I mean, for me, I think that I would look like a magician if I dyed my hair and dyed my beard. It would be ridiculous, you know?
Well,
a magician.
Yeah. I would look like some bizarre magician. You know, that's just not for me. So I have the gray beard, and it's fine. I mean, my mustache is actually still dark, and my soul patch, and I have a little bit of a patch of dark hair here. So I have a few more years before it's totally gray. But, Joe, I mean, 50 is, to me, it's like, it's just, you know, I'm drinking tonight. I'm having a good time. I'm probably going to get a good steak dinner. Just, I live my life, man, one day at a time.
Well, the first day we were drinking and we met, you were 32, man. Let's put it that way.
I know. I was a baby.
Wow.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When you think about how long I've been doing this shit, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, well, I know. I didn't think you'd be on the air in 2015. I thought hair loss wouldn't exist in 2015, to be honest with you.
Well, you know, here it is. I'm still here.
That's a fair statement. I can see that. That makes sense.
What statement is that, Joe?
Well,
the one you just made.
That you wouldn't expect hair loss to be an issue in 2015. You know, 18 years ago, I mean, everyone's, you know, how many times have you heard it's only 5 years away? Right?
Oh, yeah, my entire career, man.
Yeah. So 18 years ago, if you had said, well, what do you think about hair loss in 2015? I can't think of anyone that would have said, oh, it'll still be around. I think everyone would have expected it to be eradicated by now. But of course it's not.
Well, obviously it's not.
Yeah.
And
because Spencer's holding the cure back, so he can.
Well, that's the thing. I'm apparently holding the cure back so I can make my millions off of all of you guys who are suffering.
And he's teaching me the ropes on how to do the same thing.
Think about that shit. That's the type of stuff that's been written about me for years. Right, Joe?
Well, that's not true, because you could be making quadruple your income very easily if you wanted to.
Of course.
10 times over.
Dude, this is not a joke. I could snap my fingers tomorrow, pick up the phone and say, all right, it's time. And everyone knows what that means. And then all of a sudden, all the money flows in. It's like, hasta mañana, motherfuckers. It's all over. Have a great life.
Checking out.
You're not the type of person. I know you have other... Go ahead.
I'm very honest about that. I tell people, you know, I have worked my balls off to do the best that I can for the last 17 years. When it's time to sell out, if it is, and I don't think I'm going to need to, but if it ever comes, I think most people are going to forgive me. I've done a lot of good. And I'll be very honest about that too. I'll be like, you know what? I sold the company to so-and-so, and that's it. See you later. I mean, what's wrong with that, Joe? Both Joes. Nothing.
Nothing. You deserve it after all these years of slaving away with, you know, certain types of people you have to work with.
And I think Joe Tillman understands that it really is. Now that you're an independent, you really understand that it's a fucking thankless job.
It really is. No, it is. But before I continue on that, I have to say that in media, you're only remembered for your last deed.
Yeah. Well,
right.
You know what? If I remember for my last deed selling out for, you know, $400 million, you can remember me for that.
I could be remembered for worse.
Yeah.
Jesus. But no, it is thankless. I mean, well, I don't want to say 100% thankless, because I get some nice emails from time to time.
Oh no, I do too, and we talk about that. I know, but for the most part, you know, in general, there's a lot of guys online who just like, I was like, Jesus, if they had any idea what we did every day, day in, day out, the amount of effort it takes to talk to people and you know, talk them off the ledge and try to guide them in a safe direction, all the stuff that we do, they would never be saying the stuff that they have. And I think about the guys that even post about you or Specs or other people who are, you know, I mean, you guys are involved in what I do now, but who are kind of like in a different tier as far as you guys work for doctors, stuff like that. Even that is so difficult, what you do, to have to try to balance, you know, doing consultations. You're not doing that now, but
right.
with being, you know, having to sleep at night. That is very tough.
It is tough. And, you know, and I'm still, it's funny. I'm still trying to break out of that mold of people looking at me as a consultant, because I have been a consultant for so long.
Yeah.
And people are like the second opinion service that I offer, where I talk to patients that have already had consultations with clinics. I give them
fucking free
my opinion.
service.
It's a free service.
I know.
And I have people thinking, well, you're doing a consultation for Dr. K or whomever. It's like, no, go wherever you want. I don't care, just as long as you are informed and you understand what's being said.
One thing you may be aware of, there's a lot of super paranoid people in this industry as well.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So I mean,
I'm shocked.
So if you make an announcement or whatever it is, I mean, I know you've talked about it on my side. I mean, you and I are, we speak and we work together, so I know what you're doing. Joe Tillman is offering a free service to consumers. What's wrong with that?
Everything I do is free to consumers.
Me too.
Downloading, the toolkit, the questionnaire for doctors. It's, the whole the website in general. Everything I do, and everything you do. It's like, I don't feel good charging patients that are looking for just information to help themselves. I can't do it.
Look, and I agree with that. And Joe, listen, I know you haven't called for a couple of weeks. It's great to hear your voice. Is there anything that you want to bring to the table? You know what I should do for you? I would like to do this. When you do call, and I should play your opening. Here you go.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
My name is excuse me. My name is
Would you like to may I reiterate it?
my name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
my name is
Joe from Staten Island.
Hey, Joe.
I appreciate it. There's just two quick things I wanted to bring to the table very briefly, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
First of all, there's a big controversy going on the Bald Truth about where are the phase 2B by monopros results. I'm sure you're aware of.
I know, but how is that even a controversy? I mean, how do these people make this a controversy? When it happens, it happens.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
in my opinion, it's kind of odd that Allergen is not commenting. Is that good or that's bad?
I think it's business. I don't think it's good or bad. In general, I would think that you would think that, okay, if they had the results, if they were positive results, they want to get them to the table as soon as possible to create as much hype for this new potential treatment. Get it out there and create that hype. But who knows what the real reasoning is? It may not be that it's failed. It may not be that the results aren't great. It may be that there are some legal hurdles that we're unaware of.
Or it's possible phase 3 trials are going on right now. We didn't know it.
That's right.
I mean, that's also a possibility. And one more thing I want to ask you on a personal level, it's been bothering me. As you know, I had a hair transplant in 1982 by a person whose name I'd rather not mention.
Okay.
Was it possible back then to get a good hair transplant, or that was impossible?
In 1982, in my view, it was unless you were able to find the ghosts of two Japanese hair transplant surgeons, the answer is no. It was impossible.
Well said.
It didn't exist. Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess I should have possibly waited about another 20 years. I might have been better.
Well, let me tell you this. When I was doing my research and when I was really freaking out in the early 90s, I realized at that time you could not get a good hair transplant. It just wasn't there. It wasn't available. When I did my research for The Bald Truth, my initial instinct was to write a completely, derogatory expose on the hair transplant industry. And it was because I met Bob Bernstein that I realized that it is possible to have a good hair transplant. And at the time, there were only 11 guys doing what's known today as follicular unit transplantation, using stereo microscopic dissection. 11 guys. And even some of the guys who are known now as the best in the field, they weren't even doing it back then. So, yeah, I mean, you had no chance, dude. You were a sitting duck like most of the victims of that time.
Yeah, that's it. Well, one wish I do have before I let you go is I wish I could regrow my entire donor area. Knowing what I know now from your show, and thanks to you and people like Joe Tillman, I think I would be in a totally different spot today. Am I correct?
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and I think
thank you, Joe.
there's a lot of guys who had surgery even just 5 years ago, who if they had the opportunity, if they took the time to do their research and find us, they probably would not be in the position that they're in today.
Unfortunately, even those that have found us
Make mistakes.
make mistakes.
Yeah,
Because even the best doctors make mistakes.
that's well said. That's true. That's
But Joe,
true.
when you had, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Continue.
But Joe, when you had Joe Tillman, when you had 5,000 follicle units or whatever taken out of your head, and it was done wrong, there's no second chance. They don't grow back. It's once the donor is gone, it's gone.
That's right.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, look, I mean, people don't think about some people do, but if you're going in for one of these 5,000 graft sessions and you're being told, oh yeah, we're one of the best, you can expect this great result, and no caveats are thrown out there as in, it usually works, but sometimes it doesn't, then people don't, continue down that line of thought thinking, well, what if it doesn't work out? What the hell do I do then? Because 5,000 grafts is about 60 some odd %, if not more, of one's average donor zone. So if you take 5,000 grafts and it doesn't work out, then the remaining 3,000 grafts, what the hell are you supposed to do with those? Right?
Right there. And head transplantation, there aren't a second chance.
Well, there are no second chances to get that hair back, but there are second chances to do the procedure that you intended to do the first time, but you just have less hair to do it with, unless you take it in smaller steps. Like say, instead of 5,000 grafts, maybe do 3,500. Pushing 4,000, that's fine. But no matter what the number is, once they're gone, they're gone. And that's for strip or FUE. It doesn't matter. And so, people need to understand that this, I've said it till I'm blue in the face. It's a finite resource. It's like oil. Once it's gone, it's gone. We can't make any more. Right? So,
well,
I'm glad you realize that now, but a lot of people don't before they go in for these sessions.
And right, in today's technology, well, maybe in the future, I basically, I don't mean to just give you one more minute, bum anybody out, but
You're always asking for one more minute. Go ahead.
Thank you, Spencer. I'm not the enthusiastic person I once was on the show. I'm not the person I was on your show, and
I honestly, I think that's a very funny statement you just made. I have never actually known you to be an enthusiastic person on the show. For the last 17 years, I have never known you to be really enthusiastic.
I have hope? I'm sorry.
I think you had false hope. I think that you helped to, promote some of the insanity that we see online and on Bald Truth Talk, but I don't think you were really that hopeful. You always seem very depressed about things.
Yeah, but years ago, I was really hopeful. I really thought a cure was around the corner, but I don't mean to bum anybody's head out, but now I'm having second thoughts about that.
Well, I will be honest with you, and you know how I feel. My whole focus is on what we have today. And there's a lot of guys online, especially on Bald Truth Talk, who are a little concerned about that. Why don't we speak more about future treatments? You know why? Because I want to try to help people to deal with their hair loss today. When the future treatments come to fruition, you know what? I will be screaming from the rafters. telling everybody what's going on. And you know what? The bald truth will be unnecessary because you're going to hear about it through, in Time Magazine, on ABC News.
I disagree with that. And here's why. When this comes out, I mean, eventually, bald truth may become useless and not
Obsolete.
needed. Obsolete.
I'm waiting for that day, guys, by the way.
But here's the thing, okay? When this is my theory. When whatever treatment comes out that can be considered to be a cure, when it comes out, it will not be affordable for the average man. Because this is going to be a huge deal. It's cosmetic. It's not.
Yeah, but I'm going to get it, and I'm just going to check out.
No, hang on. Okay. So if Bald Truth Talk becomes obsolete because you check out, that's different.
Right.
But I'm talking about people taking this as an opportunity to swindle.
Yes, we know that. We've talked about that before, and I'm just being facetious.
Sorry, there's going to be people that are, whoever comes out with this, they're going to charge an arm and a leg for it because people will give their left nut for this, right? Banks will be robbed.
Yes.
For the mark my words, banks will be robbed. I know people that would probably do it, and it will be years before the average cost will come down so that normal people can afford it. And in that meantime, there will be those out there that's saying, just like they are to now, stem cell treatment.
Yes.
So I think that even when the cure does come, and yes, I got my finger with a thumb up like Bill Clinton, when the cure does come, it will be a gold mine for everyone that is not even involved with it.
That's true. I mean, everyone's going to be selling their own fucking version, it's going to be a fucking mess. You're right. Yeah. You're right. Joe from Staten Island, man, thank you so much for calling. It's great to hear your voice.
Happy birthday, Spencer. I want to wish you another 50 years.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, man.
Take care,
we'll
Joe.
Talk soon. All right.
Thank you for your time, Joe.
Good night.
All right. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Brian the actor. Brian from L.A.
Brian, what's happening, man? You know what? Andrew Zarian is going to be so pissed off because I thought that I hit his number and I hit yours and he just fucking hung up. But I'm glad.
Oh, man.
I'm glad you're on the air.
Go ahead.
No, dude, it's too late. He's gone. Fuck him.
Well, I was trying to catch Joe.
He's all mad at me now because he's holding on. Joe, dude, call back. I'm sorry. Hello.
Yeah. Bump me off if he comes back on. We can get him back on the air.
Yeah, we'll get you both on.
Brian, how you doing?
I wanted to talk to Joe. Hey, how you doing, Joe? I wanted to talk to Joe from Staten Island as well. I've been wanting to kind of meet up with him on the phone for a while, but I know he got off the phone, but I wanted to talk to him and ask him a few questions.
You're not fooling anyone. You want to do your impersonation to him, don't you?
No,
that's what you want. Don't fool us.
Joe on Joe, a little Joe on Joe action. No,
Exactly.
Actually, I had a question about him about Mother's Day and how that happened over there at his house, and I have a little kind of yeah. I mean, I don't know if I want to give that out there until I can talk to him, but I don't know if he's hearing that and he calls back.
Joe, listen, Joe from Staten Island. If you're listening right now, call back because Brian the actor wants to talk to you. So call back now if you can.
Yeah, call back because I'm just sitting here with a 500,000 dode laser cap on my head. I'm derma rolling my face. I got cucumbers in my eyes, and I got a Swedish song going on. And I need a little Joe in my life here right now. But yeah, I just have this, because there's one thing it was about this one comment he made a long time ago about his own mom, and about how he just ultimately,
resented her.
Resented her and her father for passing this disease on. And I kind of wanted to ask him about Mother's Day this year and how that went. If there, and I don't know, kind of give him a different perspective on that.
That would be great. I wish he would call back, but he's obviously not listening, or he just whatever. He's upset. We hung up on him.
Now, speaking about that derma rolling, in all seriousness, I heard that one time a long time ago where you talked about derma rolling, and I picked it up, and I didn't get it for my scalp though. I actually got it for my face to try it out,
yeah.
And it does work, but I doubt its efficacy in the sense of, does it really help you maintain a youthful look, or does, for that day that you do it, is it like being stung in the face by like 1,000 bees?
You know what? That's very interesting because that may be, listen, they say that you're building, because of these microabrasions, you are building more collagen. This, mechanical abrading of the face is going to eventually increase more collagen. And it seems to make sense. But I don't know. I really don't know. I think that's actually a pretty interesting analogy as far as the bee sting thing, because that's how I felt. I looked more tan. My skin was slightly more plump under my eyes, so there was a little less wrinkling. But I was concerned that I was going to cause some long-term, physical damage, maybe some like fibrotic skin that, people don't really talk about.
Yeah, and if you really want to have a little torture test at home, guys, you do that. You do your whole face, and then you get this 20% C plus E plus ferulic acid serum, and you pour it on your face.
Oh my God!
And you literally turn into the Joker, from 1989 Batman, the Tim Burton one.
Right.
Your face starts to like scream in terror, and then you got this I was like, why did I try this? But I tell you, I woke up in the morning and I did look like I looked like someone Botoxed the whole face. And I don't really particularly like that look. But the day after that, I looked a little bit better.
Yeah.
I looked a little more normal.
Well, you might have had some slight edema, a little swelling from that, especially if you put that shit on your face after your derma rolled.
See, I was wondering if I used it on my penis, would it be more effective or less effective?
You know what? I think everyone would be trying it. There are guys out there, and I think I mentioned it maybe on last week's show, who are actually doing their aesthetic. And one guy I know is a plastic surgeon in Los Angeles, injecting guys' dicks with PRP.
La 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 la.
And and on the website they're claiming that it's increasing size, girth, erection strength, stuff like that. Guys are idiots. That's all I'm saying. Guys are fucking fools.
They're fucking idiots.
As long as it actually works, that's all that really matters. And fuck anybody that says anything different. Guys are idiots.
Did you ever see that? Okay, so Escape from New York is an amazing film. It's one of my favorite films.
Sure, Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell. Yeah.
Yeah, that hero is based. A lot of video games and other franchises are kind of based off that hero, the perfect anti-hero. And did you ever see Escape from L.A.?
No.
The Master Son of it?
No.
Yes.
Oh my God, this movie. Oh my God, it's just horrible. And they tried to do like New York. They had that little boxing ring match, but it was extreme. They had a basketball match that was extreme. They tried to do stuff that was LA centric, and they had this one thing which was in the Beverly Hills where it's the exact same premise except for it was LA, and they had this area where the rich criminals lived, and they couldn't go to their plastic surgeons anymore, so they actually would have little traps for people to come there, and they would just pull fresh parts off people's faces, like. They were talking about Kurt Russell's beautiful eye. Too bad there's only one. And anyways, the look of these people and what they were doing was so out of control. Like, it was just like, that would never happen. And then you start reading reports about they're injecting people's penises with this stuff. And you're like, maybe maybe this is the most believable thing about this whole movie. I mean, they were, surfing and driving at the same time in the canyons.
Yeah.
Because of the tidal waves and the earthquakes and stuff like that. There was some ridiculous stuff. But I thought that was pretty far-fetched. But now that I see all this stuff, I'm just like, maybe this guy was onto something because they looked like morbidly mutated people.
Oh, did you have... All you have to do is, you work in Beverly Hills. All you have to do is look at some of these women who are walking around. And I'm not even talking about the old women. I mean, their lips, they're deformed. And it's become this almost this new normal here in Los Angeles where the very false-looking, bee-stung lips are almost like they're acceptable. It's what people are going for.
If you don't have it, then that's when you're weird.
Yeah, it's very, very odd, man. Like the overly pillow-faced injectables, the girls that are getting like a lot of Restylane and different fillers. I got to tell you, and I'm getting more involved in mainstream cosmetic surgery. I think one of the biggest mistakes And it's because it's non-invasive. It's because it's relatively inexpensive. And the whole thing is about avoiding having surgery for as long as you can. Women who are constantly going back and getting their face filled. And if you ever watch like Housewives of Orange County or Beverly Hills, these women look like they're wearing masks at this point. And that's like the norm, dude. You see it all the time.
It is pretty bad.
Well, I mean, that brings me back up to Joe, because we all hear the reports that he wears a baseball cap and like all this bandage, and it's absurd because his whole, psyche is based upon the fact that he looks ridiculous with his hair transplant and balding.
Right.
And yet he walks around like someone hit him upside the head with a baseball bat. And I don't understand that mentality,
How can you? The last time I saw him, I don't even think it was a bandage. It actually looked like toilet paper around his head. When we were at Blog World, Andrew Zarian was there. It was really interesting.
And he's completely against the toupee,
it's crazy.
An actual.
First of all, we don't use that word on this show.
Rug? I don't know. Rug? Oh, hair system.
Yeah.
There you go.
But
I guess
it's crazy. I mean, he'll wear a hat with a bandage or toilet paper, but he won't wear a hair system. How does that make sense?
I don't know. Maybe it's the years of, like the way the media ridicules the hair systems and all that stuff. But I mean, I don't know. Do you know if he walks around in his house in front of his children like that, or is it just something he does when he goes out?
And nothing else.
Yeah, I have no idea, to be honest with you. I think he's mentioned that he will go without his hat in the house, but his poor kids, his poor fucking kids.
Well, I guess I don't know if he'll ever call and I'll ever get a hold of him. But should I go ahead and say my little piece?
Yeah, do it. Joe, he hasn't called in, so go ahead.
Okay, so, Joe, a long time ago, you made reference to your mom, and you said, you were miserable, and I can't remember the exact vernacular you used, but you basically said that you resented her or you despised her and your dad for passing on this horrendous disease. And true, it may be genetic, but, the whole thing came down to a point where you were talking about how, they should have done research with their family airline, or their family, what is it, genetic tree, whatever it is.
Yeah, their lineage.
So, yeah, exactly. So you being, cursed with this disease and saying that people should actually do some research before having kids, you're saying that basically people like you should not have kids. Would you have a kid?
He has two.
And he has two kids.
Yeah.
And being cursed, and I'm going by your logic, Joe. So being cursed by this disease, and that the fact that you're saying that, you're basically saying you shouldn't bring people in this world like that. You're causing an elitist status where you're just basically saying that I, myself, should not have married somebody and passed this on to my children, and I don't deserve to have children because I have this disease. And I just want you to know that this Mother's Day, you should thank your mom and thank your parents and your Father's Day, regardless of this disease or not, because life is about the pursuit of happiness. And even though you're not pursuing happiness, you're more or less pursuing a false cure that, number one, doesn't exist. And number two, even if it does exist, I'm not sure it would bring you complete happiness at this point because you've had this for so long. But I'm pretty sure you didn't go to your wife and look up her family tree. And if you did, and and you still had a kid, with this train of thought, I don't know if you're just running your mouth and saying bad things about your parents on a national syndicated podcast or radio internet station. But
it's an internet broadcast.
Internet broadcast. 90% of the time I'll listen to you on my motorcycle on my way to work.
That's cool.
It's a podcast.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, love your mom, appreciate her, understand that she gave you life, which gave you life to your children. This disease should not have anything to do with people bearing children or fault of the parents. It is something that is, for some reason or another, God put it in the universe, and we have to deal with it. And it's all cosmetic. That's all it is. It's all cosmetic. So tell your mom, tell your dad this Father's Day, and tell them that you love them and forgive them. Don't ever bring that up on them. That is horrendous for you to say to anybody in your family.
Well, listen, Brian, I agree 100%, and I've tried to tell him something. It probably wasn't as eloquent as you just put it, but something similar over the years. And he has just a tremendous dislike for his dad because his father has a full head of hair, and he's like 90 years old. and he despises his mother. At least that's what he says on the air. And it is unfortunate because if those are the only, listen, there are some real reasons in this world to hate your parents. Hair loss isn't one of them.
Yeah.
You know?
And food for thought, my mom didn't raise me, but my stepmother did. And she told me no one would ever love me in my life. And that I was just, basically a piece of shit. And, this may have played into why I decided to become an actor. I like to be creative. I'm a creative person. I like to express myself. But there's a sense of approval that you get from doing, artistic work in a setting such as the theater or whatever, film, television.
I don't mean to cut you off though. I mean, but what kind of scenario was created? I mean, for her to say something like that, like what would the reason be?
This is my theory. The word adult is something that if a child could definitely, define, we could define it. We could sit there and say somebody who is responsible, who is respectful, who is knowledgeable, who is confident. I can go on and on with all these different words that's supposed to define an adult.
Right.
So the older I get, the more I realize that they're an endangered species. Adults are dying everywhere or never being born.
Yeah.
It's children having children.
Yes.
And at some point they stop learning, they stop agreeing to assimilate new knowledge in their head, and they think they know everything. And I think that's basically what happened to my stepmother. She grew up, she had kids, she met my father, and she married us, and he had 3 kids. And my dad, had a marriage with my mom who was actually pregnant with another child. He raised that child as his own. And she just resented us. Her children could do no wrong, and we were just the worst children in the world. And it's literally like...
So it certainly wasn't the Brady Bunch.
No, not at all. Yeah. I mean, there was a time when she tied us up in the hallway in the middle of the night because she found makeup on the ground, and it was her child that did it.
Oh, my God.
Her child, spilled makeup, and she tied us up, and she's all, one of you is going to admit to this. And we were young, so we're like, we didn't do it.
Yeah.
We didn't know that. Just admit to it, take your punishment, and go home because you've been punished already.
I'm so sorry that you grew up in that sickness, man.
Oh, that's okay. But you know what? The funny thing is in contrast to what happened with Joe, there was a time, and see, my brother, my sister, and I, we all have this revenge scenario in our head. When you're raised like that, you want to get back at them in some way.
Right.
Not necessarily kill them or anything, but just, belittle them and show them that you're stronger than them, you're smarter than them, whatever.
Right.
And there was a time where I had that ability to do that to her. She was very weak. There was this moment when she was very emotionally shattered and mentally shattered, and I remember she was crying. And she was basically telling my dad to leave, and she didn't want him to come back anymore. And I was like, fine, I'll take my dad. He's going to come back with me to L.A. and blah, blah, blah. And I walked up to her, and I was going to, and she knew it was coming. She barricaded herself in the bathroom. And this is a person who is very, very. I mean, I'd only sprinkled a little bit of what she did to us when we were young.
Right.
She's a very bad person. So here it is. I'm about to whisper or shout into the bathroom that she's barricaded herself into and tell her how I felt and what she did and what a pathetic human being she is. And something washed over me at that moment. I mean, I didn't need to do that. This person is already broken. This person was broken for doing what she did. She was broken back then, and she's broken now. And so I said, I don't want to perpetuate this anymore. I don't want to be her. I don't need to be her.
Yeah,
and
I'm proud of you, man.
I told her I loved her, and I told her she took care of us when my mother didn't, and she gave us food and shelter, and I said, you were special to us, and I just want you to know I thank you for that, and I forgive you for anything you've ever done. And
wow.
That, as hard as that was for me to say, that's when I let go of all that pain.
But that was empowering, man. Doing something like that is, I had a very difficult relationship with my father, and I made the decision to do whatever I could to make sure that he was taken care of, where people who knew me growing up, who, common law as well, and other people in my life would have been like, there's no way that they would have made the sacrifices that I made to help my father. And I just decided, you know what? Sadly, he did the best that he could. I didn't believe there was anything malicious, and it was just, this was not in many cases, for many reasons, including the war, he was not a well person. So I had to forgive him for all that. And it was empowering, and it kind of like, it took away a lot of the issues that I was dealing with by just saying, I don't want to stoop to, I could do a lot of shit, and I could have said a lot of shit, and I chose not to. So I'm proud of you, man. I think that you're a really good person.
I love you guys.
Well, thank you. We love you, Joe. Oh, you're childhood.
I'll starting to play some background music there.
Well, I'll say to round it back to the hair loss, it's very similar to how you have to deal with hair loss. It's harder to do. It's scarier to do. That moment talking to her in between that door and telling her I love her and all that stuff. It's harder and scarier to do. But once you do it, you embrace this strength and confidence, and you feel like you no longer need to cower. So with hair loss, it's kind of the same thing. It's happening, guys. It's happening to you, and you've got to sit there and say, okay, listen, this is scary, but maybe I need to have a talk with my girlfriend or my wife and get somebody to understand me. And maybe I need to just walk out the house without a baseball cap and bandage on my head. Maybe I need to, do whatever makes me feel good. But once you dive off, just like when you hit that cold water in a pool, and it hits you, and at first it's jarring. Once you're done, you're comfortable, and you enjoyed it. And you need to actually, in my opinion, everybody needs to actually understand that they're running from the fear of what people think or see about them when it comes from hair loss, just like I ran from my stepmother all my life. But when you confront it, and when you realize it and accept it, everything's easier. The world is about acceptance. Once you accept things, it's a lot easier. And I use this analogy a lot. When you break up with a girlfriend, you hear a song on the radio, and you start, oh, my God, it reminds me of her. You maybe start crying or you start getting emotional or upset, and you turn the station. And I always say, fuck that. This song is not owned by her. I like this song. I crank it up, and I sing it, and I reclaim that song as mine. And it's like, again, it's about accepting. It's accepting the pain, accepting that these things happen, and you're going to grow and learn from it.
Dude, that's incredible advice, and I agree 100%. But sadly, well, here's the good news. All the people who are listening, especially the young guys, they're learning something, and I think you've helped them. Joe from Staten Island, not going to make a dent. That's just the way that it is. Well, that's a sad thing.
I love Joe too. Regardless,
we all do.
I don't want to turn into a hippie here, but
by loving Joe, you're loving a little bit of yourself.
That's right.
There you go. All right, why monopolize enough of your time?
All right, dude. Listen, always a pleasure, man. You sound really good, and I think you really helped a lot of kids out there.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and congratulations that you were able to overcome your father's woes, and happy early birthday to you.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. I hope to see you soon at some point in your restaurant.
Hey, absolutely. Tune in next week for Joe Tronic's Family Story.
Take care, bro.
See you. Bye.
All right.
See you, man.
888-659-3727. Joe, I want to take a quick break. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool.
All right.
That's cool.
Guys, we are going to take a quick break. Phone number 888-659-3727. Got a couple of lines open if you'd like to try to get in tonight. Give us a call if you have any questions, concerns about your hair loss. Come on, guys. This is your only safe place. 888-659-3727. We'll be right back.
The winner of 7 prestigious Golden Forehead Awards.
My family's always arguing. It always starts off innocent, and then it gets vicious right away. So I was like, hey, looks like you're losing some hair. At least my wife's not a whore.
Spencer David Kobren.
Hey, guys, welcome back. I never really understood why he was so defensive about that. I mean, if he paints his bald spot, Larry King. I mean, he's Larry King.
It's such a taboo.
Yeah, just say fuck it, man. I paint my bald spot. You're right. I know it's a taboo, but I guess
more so for his generation. It's like you don't talk about it, right?
I know, but you could just. I mean, even back then. You could see, in my view, his entire scalp was painted. I mean, it was like Judge Judy on crack, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, if you ever look at Judge Judy's hair, her scalp was painted too, allegedly. But I mean, it's like Jesus Christ. Just give it up already.
You know who the caller sounds like?
Who?
Sounds like Dave.
Maybe, actually.
Your
old sidekick.
Yeah, sidekick. Sound like Dave.
It was. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That would have been great if it was, actually.
It would have, yeah. You paint your bald spot?
Yeah.
Do you paint your
I don't
bald
know,
spot?
guys. We got it. I mean, I've been working hard at this for a long time. And, while we've helped a lot of people and we've changed the industry and improved so much, we still haven't made a dent in society as a whole. I don't know how that's going to happen. Look, I was just, and I don't mean to cut you off. I just heard you're about to speak. I heard your breath, which is actually a good sign. But I was at a listener party, a 5-year anniversary party for a spinoff of the Tom Leykis show, which is the Gary and Dino show.
Yeah.
These guys are awesome guys. I've known Dean for 15 years. They have this incredible following. Like I even said it at their party. I'm like, I don't think I could find one fucking person who'd be willing to wear a Bald Truth shirt. That'd be very difficult. But they have like the Gary and Dino militia, Yeah. And all these guys are traveling from all over the country to be at this party, and they're such huge fans. We have those fans, but they don't want to, they're afraid to admit it. It's kind of like me. I joke about my Twitter following. I don't tweet, first of all, every once in a while. But the fact that I even have like almost 1,300 followers, it's unbelievable.
That is surprising. It is, because it's like, I've talked to a few clinics over the past several months about their online presence, and
it's impossible.
And one of the questions I get is why aren't people liking my Facebook page?
Yeah.
And I have to explain. It's like, well, okay, you do understand what happens when someone, and here's the air quote, likes your Facebook page, right? Their name gets listed, and all their friends know that they just liked some hair transplant clinic.
Right.
So it's like, why out yourself when you're trying to be secretive to begin with?
Like if you actually look at the people who've liked me, a lot of people in radio, or internet broadcasting, they're not hair loss guys.
In clinics, other doctors.
Yeah. That's it. And I and like Gary and Dino, they have like whatever, 20,000, Twitter followers or whatever. And I try to explain to some of these people at the party, I'm like, would you follow me? And one guy said, no.
I'm not losing my hair.
But I'm telling you, I'm telling you, he's watching the show tonight. It was interesting. An intern, I didn't recognize this. I mean, I recognized him, this guy. He looked familiar. But he was actually an intern for the Bald Truth. Name is John. About 13 years ago, when I was doing the show from Westwood One, and Dean was working with me, and he was at this listener party. And he's a grown man now. He's like a 38-year-old lawyer. He was a kid, he's like 24 years old. And he actually said he may call on tonight. And this actually, I don't know if this is going to be him or not, but it was just fascinating to see see this guy after, he's all grown up, really successful. He looks great head of hair. Mm-hmm. But just to see how, I know that we have these, like these legions of followers just by the amount of books I've sold over the years, which is insane. I don't want to give out that number because then more people are going to be counting my money. But I can't get them to fucking wear a T-shirt or follow us on Twitter. It's wild.
You know what? Send me a T-shirt. I'll wear one on the air next time I'm on video.
Actually, you know what? I don't even wear them on the air. I should get some T-shirts made, and I should wear a T-shirt on the air.
You should do a muscle shirt like Zarian.
I'll do a cutoff shirt. Actually, I wore a muscle shirt, Zarian's muscle shirt, but I just took a picture of them chin down.
Yeah.
Just in case they wanted to use it for porn or something.
You know what? Send me one, overnight it. I'll wear it on my trip to Europe and Turkey.
I don't have one. I have to have it made.
Jeez, man.
All right, let's take a phone call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Spencer, it's Vick from D.C., man.
Hey, man, Vick, long time. What's going on?
Hey, man. Well, I didn't really get to hear the whole show. I know. Here's the thing. Because my work schedule, every now and then. But what I do is I tune into your website about 8 o'clock to see if it's a new episode. And then if I'm on the road, I call in from a cell. So today, here's how I know if it's a new episode. Here's the funny thing. So I tune into your show, and I pull up a screenshot of the previous show from YouTube. And then here's how I figure out if it's a new show. First, you can tell by your clothes, but you're always wearing a nice blue shirt, so sometimes that's hard to tell. Here's what I do.
That's the thing. I have like 5 shirts, so you just never know.
And they're all blue.
I always check what drink you're drinking in the first 5 minutes. Today was a glass of wine, and last show it was a Budweiser. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a new show tonight.
That is awesome. I could wear maybe I'll wear like a sticker on my face or something. Something new every week.
So that was really cool. So I'm like, okay, so now I know if it's a new show, but I always check to see what alcoholic beverage you're drinking. That's right next to your mouse pad.
That is fucking funny, man.
And if it's different from the previous week, I know it's a new show. So that's my system of
Well, you know what? Now that you're telling me that, I will make sure that the drink is different, whether it's a different beer. Even though I like Budweiser, I drink Budweiser most of the time. But maybe I'll make that a habit, so other guys kind of catch on as well.
Oh, it's awesome, man! It's awesome. Hey, I just wanted to say, I just call in every now and then to say hi, and of course, to your viewers, Spencer's the guy that really helped me, and because of Spencer, nowadays, I'm living my life, and I got back into bodybuilding. So now,
really,
I don't think about none of this stuff ever since you told me, transplant's out of the question for me. Because of you and the website, I've like turned my life around all because of like you and the website. Like now, I just like eating healthy. I eat, about 4 or 5 lean meals a day. I'm back into lifting, and hopefully, going to try to get back on stage at some point. So,
well, first of all, wait a second. I have a questionable relationship with alcohol. First of all, I don't eat right all the time. So how do you get? I mean, I know I talk about being in relative good shape, and I work out and stuff like that. But I mean, what made you? How did I inspire you to that degree?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? So 3 years ago when I called, you saved me from jumping into a surgeon seat. So I had to find some outlet to enjoy my life. And what happened was I was like, okay, you know what? Spencer always talks about how he used to be jacked when he was like 35, 40. I was like, you know what? Now's my time to do this. I have to do this. So it was you, first of all, you preventing me from making a bad decision. And then second of all, I was listening to your other shows and knowing that you used to be jacked.
Yeah. Well, if I could be honest, I'm still kind of jacked, but go ahead, finish your thought.
Oh no, you probably are. You probably are.
I'm just.
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to say that.
Oh, dude, come on, man. I'm just busting your balls. Don't worry about it.
But that got me thinking. And you know what? Like sometimes food is just hard. Like if I'm driving by a Taco Bell or a Chinese place, there's always that thought. Just one more slice of pizza, one more burrito, one more.
I know.
General Tso's dinner.
Now you're fucking getting me hungry now.
I'm saying, man.
So the thing is with the whole bodybuilding, building lean muscle, burning fat, it's kind of like a challenge for myself.
How old are you now?
I turned 30.
But you're a fucking kid, dude. You are in the prime of your life to build an incredible body. Now is the time. In my view, a lot of guys think, when you're 23, 24, that is, you build a lot of muscle at that point, but you kind of have a mature musculature once you get past 27, and you still have enough testosterone to really build that body. So This is the perfect time for you, man.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. And it's just for everything I just want your viewers to know. They have to understand that sometimes the right decision is what Spencer told me, is that you got to step back and you just got to accept what life gave you. And because of you stopping me from doing that, I found other avenues to improve my life. And it's getting to a point where you just completely stop thinking about hair. And, you know, it's just, I can't thank you enough. And I just hope your viewers hear that. It's just, it's amazing.
Nice.
Well, you know what? That's really nice. And not only are they going to hear it, I'm going to make sure that this segment is isolated and it goes all over the internet. So but honestly, I really appreciate what you're saying, and it makes me feel that much better about what I do every day in my life. And you're helping me as much as I've helped you.
That was very nicely said.
Thank you.
Well, Spencer, I want to wish you and Joe Tillman all the best, because, you know, you guys are helping millions of people every week. And for all the viewers, I just, you know, want you guys to continue to tune in, because this is the best show on Tuesday night. Thank you, Spencer.
Dude, I really appreciate it. I'm really happy that you've you know, moved past what you were dealing with, and now you're doing something really positive for your life. So congratulations.
Very nice.
Thank you, Spencer.
All right, man.
Congratulations.
Take care.
Good night.
All right, good night. You know, it's all worth it now.
Yeah.
It's all worth it. Now I can go and drink my Jack Daniels.
I was going to say, we're done.
Yeah.
Good night. Good night.
Yeah, I hope some of our online friends listen to that shit.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll look for the comments.
It's just unreal. I mean, when I think about it, and I know, it's always great to hear from a guy like Vick. But I know what we've done over the years. I know what I've done. I know what you've done in your own capacity. I mean, you were the original hair transplant mentor. You have changed lives in ways that I think you're aware of, but you may not even be aware of how many people's lives you've touched.
Well, it's always humbling when people do, you know, write in or, you know, like or even call in when I'm on the show.
I mean, I prefer the checks, to be honest, but as a joke,
I actually didn't hear it, but okay.
Oh, the checks, the money.
Yes.
No.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I know there will be one person, at least online, who isolates what I just said and plays it on a loop. And you know who that person is. But I love, you know, there are times, and just because of my life and because of all of the obligations that I have and what I was doing with my dad last year, that I decided to kind of step back from the show for a while. But these last few months, I decided, you know what, I want to start doing it every week again, because I know it matters to people. And, you know, I mean, that's, in the end, it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 listeners or 100,000 listeners. As long as you reach one person, you're doing a good thing.
Exactly. And and you know, not comparing my website or anything, but it's like when I put that up, it's like, I had that in mind, because, you know, my gallery of my journey actually suffered for a few years, just because, you know, I make changes and, you know, screw things up and too busy or too lazy to fix it. But when I was rebuilding it from scratch, I actually made sure that I found every photo that I had that was relevant. And now I've got 40 pages of photos of my journey, right? And I know that that's valuable for a lot of people.
And even though I said that we should not talk about it every week, your website is hairtransplantmentor.com. And I think it's important that the guys who are listening to the program, you know, take the opportunity to read about Joe's story. You know, even though Joe's story is on Bald Truth Talk, you know, he's got his own site. You know, he's kind of created his own resource where people can get help and learn as well. And I think it's very valuable.
I appreciate that.
Oh, you got it, man.
But you know, it is you know, especially being and how can I say this? Especially being independent or on my own, I guess. I'm in a better position now to where I don't need to worry so much about whom I'm offending.
Right.
Because the way I'm looking at it now is, if I'm offending someone, then good.
Well, I built my career on offending people. Yeah. And you know, I learned pretty early on, if you're not making enemies, you're not being effective.
Yeah. And I have a new saying. The truth is the truth, and the truth will make some people mad. It's true.
That's right, and that's actually very.
And
It's very eloquent, actually, and apropos to this industry, especially.
And to this industry, exactly. And I expect as I continue to move forward in this capacity, I will be, more and more people will be upset with me. But as long as I'm able to do what I'm doing in my own capacity and alongside you, and I can sleep at night, then that's okay.
Well, listen, every negative thing that's been written about me online that has been, and I mean, the truth is, I mean, the facts are the facts. Everything has been a complete fabrication. I realized the value of that and how important that was to my career because I knew from the very beginning that I was making waves.
Yeah.
When the first person will remain unnamed, who is in this field, actually wrote on their website that I was being investigated by the FTC when I don't sell anything to the public. So there's no way they would investigate me anyway.
Exactly.
I realized that I was important in this field, that I was really making a difference. And you kind of have to embrace that instead of everyone is so, and I understand that it hurts when you read lies about yourself online. It hurts. But you also have to understand where it's coming from. And I've learned to embrace the haters because the haters are a big part of my success. And I think that, you're finding that out in your own success now.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, all we're doing is pretty much like I said, we're telling the truth.
Telling the truth.
Revealing, a lot of the things that people need to understand. And for some reason, I hate saying it like this because you know why. There are some in the industry that know that's the truth, but they just don't like it.
Dude, I have a guy we're talking about, I'm not going to say who this company is, who wanted to advertise on the website. I told them what they needed to do in order to make that happen. And I told them how much it would cost if they made these changes. They chose not to make these changes. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, they write a blog post about me and my organizations. And, not a very kind, blog post. And frankly, complete lies, complete fabrication. Now, it's not a big deal. I'm not even going to worry about it. It's out there. But it just shows you the fear that these companies and these outlets and these so-called competitors may have. And you have to get used to it. And anyone who knows what we do, if they read something negative about me or negative about you on the internet, they know where it's coming from. There's no, what's the word that I'm looking for? There's no legitimate resource that it's coming from. There's no legitimate outlet that it's coming from. It's just some anonymous bullshit like on a message forum.
And that's what it comes down to. It's forget the cliche, but it's anonymous keyboard cowboys. Right. Monday morning quarterbacks, whatever you want to call them. It's easy to criticize when
if you go to
your name's on the line.
Yeah, if you go to a complaint site, if you go to a message forum, whatever it is, anyone can go on there anonymously and say whatever they want about a business or whatever. Yelp. Look at Yelp. Look what's happening to people's businesses on Yelp. But for me, luckily, because of the way that I do things, it's just a feather in my cap. Yeah. I don't sell anything, so it doesn't make a difference.
And it makes I like that. I mean, you're not selling anything, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, neither of us are, but it's
that's why you shouldn't be upset about it. And I tell Specs or whoever else is doing things out there who may be criticized that it comes with the fucking game, man.
It does, but I mean, it's just a matter of understanding. It is what it is, and as far as I'm concerned, it is not worth getting upset about.
No, but I think it's important for consumers to understand, and I say consumers because all of you guys who are considering surgical hair restoration or considering getting on finasteride or even seeing a doctor for a consultation, you're consumers. You are hair loss consumers. You are trying to do something to help yourselves. You're going to end up spending money doing it. You got to realize where this information is coming from, whatever the information is, good, bad, or indifferent. If you are going online reading about a doctor and you're just reading positive results from a specific type of forum, and you don't know if these positive reviews are coming from real patients, that's a red flag. You gotta really do your research. You have to meet with people. You have to learn about the practice. You can't just take things on face value when you're reading about them on the internet.
And there are ways to actually, understand who's real and who's not.
Right.
Some of the basics are, just a few post their name, they're already very opinionated about things.
Opinionated usually in a negative way.
In a negative way, yeah. Opinionated in a negative way, especially talking about specific clinics or specific doctors.
Yeah.
With like 17 posts their name.
Right.
Talking about a great experience they had with a clinic that no one's heard of, with really bad or non-existent photos.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And just a basic lack of forum couth, if you will, for that particular forum that they're taking part in.
Yeah.
And those are just some basics. And actually, this might be a good subject for another article. But there are ways. You just look at it and you can get a feeling. It's like they're not legitimate.
And if you see guys who have you're talking about message forums, 200-300 posts, and they're respectful and they're kind of commenting in all different facets of what's, different forums, whether it's finasteride or hair transplants. These are the guys who are just kind of into the game. They're into the whole, becoming fully educated on the process and learning about hair loss, and they want to contribute. Yeah. Those guys are usually pretty real, but the guys that, like you said, who have really dogmatic opinions after 5 posts, that's, it's bullshit.
There's something going on.
Yeah, I agree, dude. Well, listen, I'm going to go out to dinner. I'm going to call it a night. It's 6 minutes before the end of the broadcast. I'm not going to take another call, guys. But I want to thank Joe Tillman, as usual, the original hair transplant mentor, for taking the time out of his busy schedule to hang out with us and do this show. It is fun. It's a fun show.
I love BSing with you. I love going back and forth with you. We have fun.
Well, we know the industry, so it's unique.
We know the industry. Yeah. We have like-minded views, and I like the callers. The callers it's always interesting. Yeah. It's always good to hear what they have to say.
Well, apparently they like you too. So we'll keep you coming back every couple of times a month for sure. So
I appreciate it.
All right, man. You take care. Let me close up shop. The website's thebaldtruth.com for archived versions of this broadcast. If you want to check out archives, sometimes actually GFQ Network or GFQ, GFQ Network. I can never remember the site. GFQnetwork.com or GFQlive.tv will run the show before we have it on The Bald Truth, so you can check it out there. Of course, on YouTube. If you are considering surgical hair restoration, you guys, do yourself a favor. Check out the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. That's IAHRS.org. At the very least, that is a safe place to start researching your doctors. And of course, go to baldtruthtalk.com, which is our online message forum to interact with other hair loss sufferers and to get an idea of what some of the doctors in the IAHRS are actually doing. They post results, videos. It's a really great community, so check it out, baldtruthtalk.com. Until next week, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.